The Trond Mohn Foundation is by far the largest privately funded foundation in Norway aiming at research.
The foundation has provided us with ample opportunity to attract extraordinarily talented young scientists. And of course, that is important for a university like ours.
The foundation has helped us in building a capacity for scientists and for patients, which is of tremendous importance to the hospital and the patients.
It felt naturally, after having made some money, to pay back to the society. We have a tradition for giving money away. Don't ask me why, but that's a tradition in Bergen.
Since the start in 2004, Trond Mohn, Marit Mohn and Fredrik Mohn have donated more than 2 billion Norwegian kroners to the Trond Mohn Foundation. The foundation does two things. We invest and manage our capital, and we fund research programs and projects.
We have this recruit program, and there is a committee which evaluates the applicants, and I think we end up with the best ones.
Via this mechanism that has been established by the foundation, we are actually able to retain young talented people like Daniel Hugstanov. Otherwise, it would be difficult for us to provide them with a proper career.
So the thing that is difficult in dynamic programming is to formulate the function and the recurrence for the function.
What I do for a living is really to just solve puzzles all day. When a computer is faced with a difficult problem, the first thing we wanted to do is to make the problem smaller. And what my project is about is to teach the computers to do that as good as possible. What this grant let me do was to build a team and be one of the people who developed further what the field of kernelization ended up looking like today.
In the Trond Mohn Starting Grant program, we helped the University of Bergen to recruit rising star international researchers. Of the 40 currently recruited, some 40% are women. Researchers are recruited from more than 10 countries. In our thematical programs, we support larger, more tailor-made research programs addressing vital challenges to our society. Currently, we have 32 ongoing thematical projects. At the start of 2019, the foundation has supported research with more than 1 billion Norwegian kroners.
For a small university like the University of Bergen, it is of importance that we're able to recruit people from various parts of this world.
I study past climates. We search for clues about how climate changed in the past because we want to better understand this climate system now that we're putting all the CO2 into the atmosphere and changing our climate.
No.
We look at mud that's accumulating on the ocean floor. We find tiny fossil shells from millions of years ago. And those shells are recording the conditions under which they were formed. So we can learn something about what the ocean looked like at that point in time. Making these reconstructions helps us to actually understand that it's important to do something about climate change after we've been changing the boundary conditions of the Earth so much.
Haukeland University Hospital received money for the equipment to competence building and research. It's been important to the foundation to help us building better diagnostic capacity, and that's very important for the patients.
So the project was based on in vivo imaging of cancer. It revolves around several different modalities: ultrasound, MRI, PET-CT, which is basically a high-powered X-ray. The whole thrust of what we're trying to do is to create model systems and imaging systems whereby we can test whether this stuff is really going to work before we go into the patients. If the imaging can show us that we're getting the response that we're looking for, then I think we can accelerate the transition of that drug into clinical practice.
So you see a decent signal.
More recently, we've been using ultrasound and a process called sonoporation, whereby we've been using microbubbles to increase the amount of drugs that accumulate within the tumours. A really nice thing that actually has come out of this project is the fact that there's been a direct impact on people's lives.
It's fantastic to be able to work with brilliant minds, with exciting and important questions that change society and pushes science forward. You can just see when you meet these excellent researchers that they are just force fields. So we think that we're really doing something that is worth doing.
What's especially important in this grant is that it set something up here, but also with a long-term perspective of being able to stay here.
I certainly think the impact of it will come when these young PIs really establish themselves, and if we can start all working together as well, you know what I mean, that's quite an exciting prospect to see what we can do here in Bergen.
The greatest joy in life is to give. You are giving people a possibility to develop themselves, and that's the payment for the donator. And that's something you can enjoy every day.